What is up, guys? How we doing? How we doing? So I posted a review of the Penguin last night, and then I watched the Batman, and the Batman kind of made me look at the Penguin a little bit differently. So I thought I would redo it. First, before we dive into the Penguin, I'm gonna spoil both real quick. I want to give my quick thoughts on the Batman. Anyways, it made me just kind of look at the Penguin a little bit differently. First off, I didn't know that we were going to get so much of the Penguin in the Batman. I love that we did. And I love that his ways carry over to his series. Like Falcone calls him, starts degrading him, and then he instantly just takes out his gun. So that hot-headed impulsiveness is the first thing we see in the Penguin series. And but I like the show more than the movie. I'm not gonna lie. I think the show is better written, better acted, better. It's just better. Like, I don't know. I to each their own. Art is subjective. I did not like the Batman. It was an hour too long. I didn't really care for Zoe as Catwoman. I love her as an actress, but I don't know. It just didn't fit to me. It fit better than Anne Hathaway. I like her better than Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, okay? You can't get much worse than that. Anne Hathaway trying to act dark. God, it's cringy shit, dude. Her talking in her low, cringy-ass voice. It's just, I get what we're getting here. A grounded, sad, depressed Batman that's learning. And I get that. I get what they're going for. I just don't like the way it's directed. There you go. I'm going to give a very controversial opinion that a lot of people probably ain't going to agree with. I think it is too fucking slow. And the dialogue is just meh, dude. Fucking eyeliner Robert Pattinson going, "You're not my dad," to Alfred when Alfred just gave basic advice. I don't know, man. I didn't order my Batman from Hot Topic. I don't know. I don't know how to word it. It was just cringy to me. Like, I don't expect it to be action packed. I don't need Fast and Furious like material to keep my brain cells firing. Okay, the Penguin isn't very action packed, but I don't know. Each slow just drags. Each scene, just drags and drags. And like I said, every time they open a letter, it takes for fucking ever. And I don't know. It was just meh. The dialogue was meh. And that's how I feel about the Batman. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. That's fair. Now let's get on to the Penguin, because that's what this whole thing's about. First of all, I want to say Colin Farrell does a fucking phenomenal job, and he completely immerses himself into this role. If you did not know who Colin Farrell was, you would probably just think that's what he looked and sounded like, but nope. That, just from the makeup to the mannerisms to the voice to the accent, he just kills it as the character. He does an amazing job. And I looked it up to see if he got some type of award, and he did. He got the Golden Globe. And my opinion there hasn't changed. I think he gave a better performance in the show than he did in the movie. He still was great in the movie, but I think he was even better in the show. And he was given more time to shine and whatnot. But it definitely makes sense that the Penguin's going to be the villain of Batman 2. I don't see why he wouldn't be, and then lead up to the Joker for the third one. I think that's what they're going to do. But, oh yeah, and you're telling me that Batman got beat by the Riddler because he didn't know what a fucking carpet edger was? Or a tucker? The people I worked with call it an edger, but yeah, it's for tucking carpet underneath baseboards and thresholds and shit. How did he not know that? I feel I get that if you, what else would the tool be for? How would you not? I don't know, man. Even before I was cleaning carpets, I knew that that's what that tool was. And if he would have just realized that that tool had something to do with carpet, he would have beat the Riddler. fucking stupid. That's stupid, is what that is. And then he saves hundreds of people, and it's on the news. That's what's being reported, not that thousands were killed and the Riddler's upset as if he lost when he killed thousands. I don't know. It was meh. The dialogue was meh. I didn't really care for it. Moving on. The Penguin was a lot better. I seem to be having differing opinions from other people. I think the first 4 episodes are amazing, and I think the last 4 start to lose me. To a lot of other people, they think the first couple episodes are slow, then you get to episode 4, and that's when it starts taking off. Episode 4, the Arkham Asylum episode, is my favorite episode. Because you start to root for Sophia. Because it's so dark, twisted, and grim. Because you start to see... I mean, the Batman and the Penguin definitely show how dark this universe is, and I love that. I love how dark and gritty this shit is. I love the traps that the Riddler had, like Saw-like traps here. Like, it was a brutal Batman movie. But I don't know. It was just too long, I think. Every scene was so slow and just dragged the fuck out and so overly dramatic. Every line was so dramatic. That's how I feel about it. I'm sorry. And yeah, but with the Penguin, I like the first 4 episodes because you're basically looking at it through Victor's eyes, right? All of a sudden, Victor is with the Penguin. You're scared just like him. It's suspenseful to all of a sudden be in these life or death situations with seeing Penguin basically try to play both families and whatnot. And I like it. I think it's gripping. I'm not much into, mafia-style movies. I didn't like The Goodfellas. I didn't like The Sopranos. I'm not really into movies like that. But the writing here is fucking excellent. The dialogue in the series is amazing. Really good. And then you get to the 4th episode, and a big part of my review the first time was that I don't really know why Sophia would be so mad at Oz, because it's not like he knew she would be framed. After watching The Batman, I realized that I was wrong. Oz absolutely knew she was going to get framed for murder and absolutely knew her dad was a murderer. And so her anger is very placed here. So episode 4 is my favorite because that's when you start to switch. That's when you're like, okay, so I'm rooting for Sophia here, right? Because Oz is that shitty, But why I don't like the second half is they slowly start to make you root for Sophia less and less. They make you root for Oz less and less. And then it just kind of ends unsatisfyingly. I don't know why I was expecting a satisfying ending. It's a villain origin story. It's not like it's going to have a fucking happy ending, but I don't know. You're going for Sophia, and then she kills her family, rightfully so, but makes an orphan out of a kid and puts her through the same goddamn thing. And then she's basically just battling with what she wants. Does she want to do this drug ring? Does she want to kill Oz? Does she want to... And then ultimately decides to pack up and go to vacation, which she was originally fucking told to do anyway. So she ended up listening to her family in the end. So, I don't know. At episode 4, that's the turning point where you're like, okay, so I think first of all, they do a good job at making you feel sympathy for all of the characters and their motives, as disgusting as they are. You understand them and think you understand Oz's at least. But I'm glad that reveal for his brothers was waited until they waited to... I'm sorry, I'm tired. I just woke up. I'm fumbling all over my fucking words. I'm glad they waited for the reveal of his brothers to be in the last episode, because if you would have gave us that information beforehand, if you would have gave us the information about Sophia beforehand, you wouldn't have been on Oz's side. This is a show that you watch and you know Oz is shitty, you know, but you're rooting for him anyway because he's this young, come from nothing kid that's willing to step on the necks of anybody who fucking needs to take what he deserves. Getting that Boston accent out there. Brooklyn. We're at what the fuck ever. I don't know what that accent is. I think it's Boston. I think I said Brooklyn in my review yesterday, but I think it's a Boston accent. Anyway. And then you get to that 4th episode and you're like, oh, Oz is really a piece of shit. So then you start to root for her, but then she starts to just get so cocky and unlikable, and it's like, okay, you made an orphan out of a girl. You're willing to fuck up an old lady to hurt Oz that has nothing to do with this. Like, she essentially kind of has to become the hangman to survive. And I love episode 4. It's my favorite episode because of the mental deterioration she goes through. Being an innocent woman, telling the truth, to being manipulated and tortured so much to the point that she becomes a murderer. She murders somebody in the asylum for essentially no fucking reason and says, see, I told you I was innocent. And her saying, see, I told you I was innocent while murdering somebody. That writing right there is so beautiful. So well written. And just from then on, I think it started to fall apart. Learning that Oz killed his brothers so he could have more time with Mommy, and that he's so impulsive and mad when he's degraded because he gets his feelings hurt that easy, makes him look like a little bitch. There is a fine line, like I said in my original review. There is a fine line between standing up for yourself and not taking any shit and letting somebody have too much power over you. And if Batman gets into a fight with the Penguin, all he's got to say is, wow. So, did you just get done sucking your mom's tits, or was it last night? And then the Penguin's going to fucking explode, and his judgment's going to be all clouded because of how angry he gets, because of how insecure he is. And I like that we have a complex character like that, right? That's so much of a sociopath that he literally doesn't look at it as if he killed his brothers. And that even after being told he is hated by his mother and that she's always known, which I don't believe Oz. I'm supposed to believe that Oz is so smart that he's able to get out of all these situations, but he didn't know that his mom knew this whole time. That one's kind of hard to suspend disbelief on, but nonetheless, Mom, says she hates him, stabs him, all this shit, and he just blames it on her illness, and she made him promise that if she becomes a vegetable, that he needs to finish her off. And he keeps her alive, not because he cares about her, but because of how it makes him feel. Just like when he's being questioned and his mom is, being tortured, he is literally not even willing to save her life to tell the truth. I love that. He's such a sociopath. He's crazy. And, the very final scene, we get him finally in the penthouse, but his mom can't even fucking talk to say, I'm proud of you, and doesn't want to be alive anymore. And, he is paying an escort, or his girlfriend, who is an escort, to say that she's proud of him like his mother. Yeah, he's an insecure little baby boy, is what he is. And they definitely made you hate him by the end of it. I wish they killed Victor in a different way. I figured Victor was going to die. And I like the shock. I figured what was going to happen is that Victor and his mom were going to get killed, and that was going to be the emotional gut punch that made the Penguin. But I like the shock factor of Penguin being the one to kill Victor. I like that. I do not like where it's placed. When he kills him, the dialogue around the scene is beautiful and it's very well written. It's a well written murder scene. I left that out of my review yesterday. I just don't like where it's placed. If Oz was going to kill Victor because he didn't want to get too close and family made him weak, why wouldn't he have killed him after he made the Operation Underground successful? Like, why did he kill him then? Why didn't he kill him in the closet of the hospital? Why did he just, I don't know. It wasn't a moment that was an emotional gut punch to me like it was to other people, a jaw on the floor moment. It was just like, why now? Like, I saw there was 15 minutes left and figured he was gonna fucking die somehow. But it was just like, why are you killing him now? What was the entire point of, I don't know. I don't know if it was his mom getting tortured that made him realize he can't have any friends, but he already knew that. He ain't new to this. So, I don't know. But then you see Victor, he could have gotten out. And it makes the bathroom scene make no sense because Victor, you know, whenever he says he's scared to leave, essentially, that scene where Oz gets a gun out and points it to him and says, so this is what you feel like all the time? Like, here I am giving you everything, putting clothes on your backs, giving you a place to stay, and this is all you think that I am? Is just holding a gun to your head, holding your hostage? You could have left any time. You chose to stay. And him killing him just kind of makes that scene fucking pointless, doesn't it? I still think it's a great show. Despite not liking the second half as much as the first half, I think it's a great show and one worth enjoying. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk about 11 hours of material here and sum it up very quickly, but so there's a lot that I'm going to have to glance over. But my overall opinion of the show is that it is very good, very well written, very character driven, very fucking, my favorite episode is the episode that Penguin isn't even in, and that is because Kristen pulls her weight in acting in that episode. She does such a good job in that episode, dude, of just making you feel, like, she does such a good job of being scared and being nervous, and you really feel for her character. Like, the actors in this show really gave it their all, and I love the R rating. I mean, shit, they even said fuck in the Batman. Happy fucking Halloween. I like it. I like that we're going that dark with this universe, and I am looking forward to the second Batman, whenever that may come out. But boy, y'all hyped up Batman like... Fucking Cody Leach says it's the best goddamn comic book movie of all time. I get that opinions are differing, but like, Jesus Christ, man. Really? I couldn't disagree more. Like, I don't know. You know, Christopher Nolan's Batman series is what it is. It's and I like that we're getting a different look at Batman here. A more brutal, a more you know, a more sad, learning, young, grounded Batman. I like it. I like that. In a very, very dark universe. And he feels like he ain't even enough sometimes. And it's a big city. You can't be everywhere at once, you know? And I like the story they're trying to tell here. I don't know, man. It's too long. Some of the dialogue is very The Riddler, I think, was a good villain. And he won in the end. I like that they had the balls to do that, but as an overall fucking movie, I did not like it. And my God, did they lean into that Nirvana song. They played it over and fucking over. They only played it twice, technically, but they played the guitar to it throughout the entire movie. And like, Jesus Christ, that's like I think that's a perfect nutshell of the movie. How slow that song is how slow the movie is. Like, fucking opening a card takes 30 minutes in an urgent situation. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I thought it was too dramatic. I'm going to shut up about the Batman now. The Penguin, first 4 episodes were great. You're looking at shit through Victor's eyes. All of a sudden, you're in this high-stakes gangster environment. And, learning about the penguin basically through Victor's eyes and starting to find this relationship kind of adorable. Penguin's kind of taking him in as like, you know, kind of like a son figure and teaching him. Like one of my favorite scenes in the Penguin is when Victor is stuttering as he's ordering food and the waiter finishes his sentence for him and Oz is like, shut up, let him finish. And then he finishes and he finishes what he's saying. And then, you know, Victor says to Oz, you really don't have to do that, all embarrassed. And he's like, you know what? You're right. You should. You should stand up for yourself. Be heard. Let them fuck him. Let him wait. Like, there's a lot of good characteristic traits to Oz here. And I love the complexity of that. That, like, you can have a scene like that is a very respectable, like, you're right, man. You need to stand up for yourself. And he's teaching him, like, how to be a better man. And you got some good characteristic traits to Oz. But, you know, just by the end, he is just not redeemable at all. He fucking sucks and you want to see him die. And that's what, but I just feel like they didn't really know what to do with Christy's character. Or Kristen, sorry. Isn't that her name? Is it Christy or Kristen? The actress. I will just say Sophia. Sophia, they didn't really know what to do with her character. That was very fucking apparent. Like, she didn't know if she wanted to be in this fucking drug ring. She didn't know what the hell she wanted. And ultimately ended on, I'm just gonna leave. But I want to kill Oz first. And that doesn't make any sense to me. She should have just left. And now we know that Catwoman is her half-sister. And so that's going to be a problem. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I do think The Penguin is better than the movie. There's a controversial take for you. And after finding out that Oz killed his brothers to have more time with Mommy, and that every time he's called a bitch, he gets that mad, and I think it is a great show. Don't get me wrong. But after episode 4, when you're like, okay, so Oz is this much of a piece of shit, you're going to root for Sophia. And then you get the episode, and you're like, yeah, okay, she killed her family, cool. So what's going to happen? Like, I thought she was going to adopt the kid, but not. It just goes on to an orphanage. So you're like, all right, that's pretty shitty, Sophia. That's pretty fucking shitty, but all right. And then she just becomes very unlikable, and then Oz becomes very unlikable, and then at the end of the day, they're pushing drugs, and that big scene where she's basically taking advantage of the town's pain, and that's how she's trying to sell her drug. That is so evil. That is so evil. Say what you want, but, like, the Sacklers would be proud, you know? And, so I can't root for her. It's a show that's like, who the fuck are you rooting for here? Are you rooting for Oz, the shithead, or like, I don't know. Sophia's a turned monster, so I feel for her. Oz was just kind of a born monster, and seeing the two go up against each other is interesting. The writing is spectacular. I mean, the level of depth given to these characters is great. But like I said, the last 4 episodes, I think this should have been a 6-episode series instead of 8. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it had the potential to be a 9 out of 10. Like, it was very well written and very well acted. And I love the hard R rating here. The constant cussing, violence, and shit. Like, I love it. And I love that that's the Batman universe that we got, is this dark, violent universe. That I do like about it, but I just don't think the movie was, I don't know, different strokes for different folks, I guess. I don't know. That's my scatterbrained, I just woke up review of The Penguin. There were some scenes that spoke to me quite a bit, you know, about his mom, fucking him dead. My mom had a stroke, right? And we did not have a good relationship. I talked about that a lot. And my mom specifically all the time used to say that if she ever could not take care of herself, to take her back to the barn and shoot her. So that scene where they're having that conversation really struck a chord with me. And whenever she has a stroke and he's like, tell me you're proud of me, and she can't talk, that hit home with me too. I just don't like the way Victor was killed. I do like the reveal that, I don't know how I feel about the reveal that Oz has killed his brother. Like, he indirectly killed him. The show doesn't even necessarily shows that he meant to kill them. Like, he kind of like just shut them in there and just kind of expected them to find their own way out, but they didn't, and then he didn't care either. He was just indifferent about it, which is even more psychologically fucked up than just blatantly killing them. The total indifference and only caring about how it's going to benefit him, just like keeping his mother alive is. He is a very psychopathic character, and they did a good job at writing that. And somehow manages to slip out of every situation. But, yeah, Sophia's character just started to annoy the shit out of me towards the end, and I did not like the second half. I think episodes 7 and 8 are great, but episodes 5 and 6 are kind of a blur. So that tells me that they should have cut off a couple episodes, and I think you have a perfect written show here. There you go. That's my scattered brain fucking thoughts on this universe. The Batman sucks. I'm just like, I can't believe that I don't know, man. Everybody was calling this the best Batman movie ever, and I don't agree. But the Falcons killing Batman's parents, allegedly, makes it even more of a reason that if he were to see on the news that all the Falcons died and all the Maloneys are dead, I can't believe that Batman is not referenced not a single time. And I didn't expect the Penguin to have such a large part in the Batman, so he knows he's out there, and Batman kind of whooped his ass, so that, like, I get it, this is a Penguin show, this isn't about the Batman, and his spotlight would take away from the Penguin, but the fact that he's operating as if no fear, as if Batman doesn't exist, is kind of odd. You'd think there would be a reference to him at some point, because Batman is looking at this. Yeah, and that's what the show ends on, is the last thing is nobody can stand in our way, and then all of a sudden the bat symbol in the sky. So I definitely think they're setting the Penguin up to be the villain for the second movie. And it does lead perfectly into that, considering all the events. But I hate how they killed Victor. I just hate the timing of it. And I don't really like the reveal, like I said, that he killed it, that he's just a goddamn mama's boy, that he is outwardly tough, but inwardly a coward. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, if I call you a bitch, and that upsets you so much that you shoot me, are you standing up for yourself, or are you being overly sensitive? Yeah, being called a bitch is disrespectful, and you shouldn't let people disrespect you, but you also shouldn't let somebody have that much power over your emotions, right? There's a fine line, and Penguin clearly lets people have power over him, and that makes him look weak. And I think that's the point. He's gonna get his ass kicked by Batman. That's my review. I hope this was better put together than. It's just yesterday, like I said, I came out with the review, and then I watched the Batman, and a lot of the questions that I had in the review were kind of answered in the Batman movie. Who knew that, the Batman villain, that some of the lore would be answered in the Batman movie? I know. But, yeah. I like the show more than the movie. I think the franchise does have potential here. I think this universe does have potential. But I just did not care for the movie, man. It needed to be shorter. It really did. if we're gonna go with a young, grounded Batman that has to make mistakes along the way to learn that this vengeance isn't what I want to represent. Hope is, and to be a hero. And I like that. He had to be beat by the Riddler to learn these lessons, because the Riddler really thinks that him and Batman are alike and want the same things. And I like aspects to it. I don't like how it was directed. I don't like the dialogue in half the movie. A lot of it, and it's just so overly dramatic in some parts. Like, good God, the music. Yeah, there you go. There's my review. Love you guys. Bye.